we're a treasure trove, right? I mean, we have social security numbers, we have healthcare information, we have a lot of things that if someone was to gain access to it, they can obtain money from it.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Cynexlink podcast. Today, I am with my good friend Bob. Bob, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast here today.
Welcome.
Hey, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of kick us off with your background, then we can get started and go from there.
Sure. No, sounds great. So I've been in healthcare technology now for about 27 years. I'm all in leadership roles. Pretty much throughout the years, I've done it all. I've done the service desk, the database work, development, all of those types of things, security officer. And in my current role, I am the CIO at Mahaska Health. And previous to that, I was executive director over a number of areas at IU Health.
Very cool. And so, within the healthcare space now,
Mhm.
like what do you see being the biggest threats, like that healthcare companies tend to face these days when it comes to security breaches?
Yeah, I would say just so the biggest threats that we seem to have is social engineering. Um, a lot of what is happening within healthcare, there's a lot of people out there who are looking to find their way in by appearing as something trustworthy. And they're barraging us with emails, with texts, with phone calls, just different ways of trying to act and pretend like something so that we can trust it, so that we would end up looking to either click or do what they're asking us to do to enable them to access our systems. So what tends to happen is, and what we're looking to do is just continually educate the folks that work within our organization, is just make sure that, and actually I was rounding today with our compliance officer. We do tests. It's not like pass fail, but it's just educational as we ask questions, to see if people know the right things to do when certain things happen, and to also be aware of phishing attempts, different social engineering techniques that people use to try and gain account access. We also, behind the scenes, we have a number of things that are running behind the scenes that are actively looking for attempted attacks and things like that.
Very cool. So, would you say the healthcare space is a bit more complex than other industries, or do you think it's the same across all boards?
In regards
In
to,
regards to like you being targeted, like you're probably a hotter target, or maybe
we are a hotter topic, or sorry, a target, because
both are the
uh,
same.
yeah, I would say that we are, and much of it is, we're a treasure trove, right? I mean, we have social security numbers, we have healthcare information, we have a lot of things that if someone was to gain access to it, they can look to obtain money from it. They can look to threaten to expose it, like there, and personal private information that are related to your health and potentially mental health. Those are some really private things that people would be afraid of being exposed out there. So yes, to answer your question, long-winded way, we are one of the more targeted industries.
So I'm a bit curious. Do you get like so I know because when it comes to let me try to articulate this properly. When it comes to
Sure,
a
sure.
hack,
Hmm.
it's not just you affected, it's your vendors, their vendors, everyone involved
Correct.
within your
Hmm.
system, right?
Correct. Yep.
So do you guys have layers of security that also protect third party vendors because of the fact that, hey, if they get hacked and they somehow
Hmm.
leak into your database,
Yep.
now all of a sudden these medical records are also vulnerable?
Hmm. Yeah.
Am I
No, we
thinking
do.
right? Or
No, you're thinking right. Like different ways of being able to restrict access, different ways of reducing risk for our external partners, and in turn for risk from them to us. We do have mechanisms in place that are actively looking for activities that are happening on both sides of the fence, so that if we do detect something, or if hopefully they let us know, once we do, we go ahead and we turn off that access. And I know, let's say it's something that happens from our end, we get exposed. I do know there's systems in place that would turn off our access in turn. So yes.
and so let's say somebody wants to get into your space, right? Like, so how on earth do I navigate in and how do I get a position? It just seems like a very highly competitive space. I feel like, and there's not a lot of open positions when it comes to cybersecurity, right? It's kind of like
Sure, sure, sure.
you kind of have to know people, but if somebody wants to kind of get to your position where you're kind of man, you're the CIO for the company, right? So
Yeah,
it's like a solid
yeah.
place to be. How do they work their way up?
No, that's a really good question. I would say what's helped me, so I'll just use myself as a use case in this example. What's helped me is I've always been willing to learn. I've always been willing to learn. I've always been willing to align myself or partner with someone or take informal mentors and learn from them. So all the different things I've done throughout my career, I would always volunteer, even if I don't get more money from it. Even if I don't get training from it per se, I would volunteer, throw myself into what this new thing is. Like a lot of what I've done is I've learned and I was an active participant in my own learning. So career-wise, I would say I know networking gets thrown around a lot. Networking. I think, just creating connections with people and creating good, solid relationships with people. And even if it looks like it's not a relationship, you're going to get something from that person initially, just developing those and having this dialogue and being able, I've learned in my career that has helped me. Either it's helped me to get a job or it's helped me to grow in knowledge to be able to represent myself to get a job.
I love it. So it's a lot to do with who you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you could say it that way. Yeah. I'm trying to think of because that does get thrown around a lot, who you know and networking. Um, there are positions that I did not get the position because of who I knew per se, but because of those folks that I knew, they developed me. I learned from them. I learned how to become a better leader and represent myself in a way that helped me intrinsically to get that role. So yeah,
I see. So it's like a mixture of, build a network, but also be valuable and also like show up and,
yeah,
be
yeah,
consistent and
yeah,
tenacious and, you know,
yeah. I mean, I guess it's
uh,
kind of a cliche, but yeah, put in the hard work. Like these things just don't happen. I'll admit, I'll use myself again as a use case. When I was younger, yeah. I mean, I think that's what happens. You're aggressive about it, right? So you're like titles, money, and you go down that path. And I've learned that, and maybe it's just age or wisdom or whatever you want to call it, but I've learned that um, I'm chasing, I don't know if happiness is the right way, but I no, I want to provide value. So I want to provide value in my position. And if I get a title and those things from it, that's great. But I'm really looking to give back, to people in healthcare and humanity in general, just trying to make a difference in this world.
that's beautiful. What motivates you? So is that kind of what motivates you every day?
It does. It does. And personally, it may sound silly, but I look to, even if it's a small thing, I look to make one small difference in someone's life or something's life, or just try to do something positive each day.
I love it. I love it. So, Bob, when it comes to being, let's say, God forbid, you go through a hack and you're like, oh no,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
did this happen? What's your process to remediation and like, getting cleaning things up?
yeah. I would say the first thing we do is call our insurance company. That's literally the first thing we do because they already have the processes in place as far as notifications, the process that we follow, what are the next steps, and they'll lead us down that path. The next step is that within and with their guidance, we would likely activate our incident command.
Hmm.
And and so to your point, do we um, um, those sorry, I'll back up for a second. Those are the initial steps that we do. And then within, incident command, we have a whole structure around how that's going to work, what the notifications are. Insurance companies are going to guide us as far as our response to it. We don't shut systems down, right? We keep them there. We do start, we reduce access, but we do have planning around it. And another aspect of it is, and this is actually coming up, is we're doing live tests. So simulations of this process. We're in the process of planning one that'll be organizational. Oh no.
You're good. You're
my
good.
my computer, sorry, sometimes my computer will shut down the video. So
All good.
um
All good, my man.
but so yes, we're in the process actually right now of organizing a live test that I think we're going to be doing towards the end of this year.
Interesting. So, are you of the? How often do you like to train your employees?
We it is I would say, how often would I like? I would like to train, I would like to have some sort of education, whether it's email or something like that, at least monthly. I think another aspect is we need to round more. I round. I have a security person who works with me, and he's more back end. I'm going to start taking him with me, and we're just going to walk around and talk with people and educate. We're also, there's monthly meetings with our directors where I'm going to insert the security officer in there so that he can also educate. But to answer your question, like formally, it's a yearly, like there's a yearly mandatory, or I should say mandatories around security and HIPAA that folks have to complete.
I see. I see. Okay, very cool. And then, I guess my final question for this is,
Sure,
when it comes to like evolving technologies like AI, I kind of, just very curious your perspective on how it's
sure.
impacting healthcare, whether good or bad.
Yeah, I would say it's interesting is AI shows a lot of promise. It really does. I think where healthcare is at right now is what is the value of that promise? There's a lot of, I don't want to say noise. How do you say it in a positive way? But there's a lot of things out there right now. AI's got the buzz. There we go. AI's
Mhm.
got the sizzle, it's got the buzz, it gets people's attention, for good or for bad. And that's actually where we're at right now is we have AI products that we're looking at, AI-based products like dictation or transcription. Other ones that we're looking at are robotic process automation because there's a lot of promise there for reducing redundant tasks. The human-based tasks. Let's get a machine to do it. And how we do that is we formalize it as an RFP. So,
Mm.
what is it we're looking to do business-wise? What is the specific thing that's a business value that we want to do? And then from there, go into the requirements and what are some people out in the space that have that, and let's evaluate them based upon that value and cost, and then whoever lines up the best is what ends up being determined. So there's a process around that, like an intake process around that too.
I see. I see. Okay, well, Bob, where can people find you if they want to look you up, man? Like if they want to sit with
Oh,
you, talk to you a little
yeah.
bit more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I welcome people to look out on LinkedIn for me. Bob Berbeco. You'll very easily be able to find me. There's not many Berbecos in the world, actually. So I'm one of the few. And I think I'm the only Bob. So easy to find me there. Just find me out there on LinkedIn. Yeah, you'll totally find me easily.
I
And
love
then
it.
from there, connect with me, and we can email and all that kind of stuff.
I love it. I love it. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you so much for hopping on,
yeah,
Bob. And for
of
everybody that's
course.
watching, if you guys enjoyed, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.